In the heart of a mountain forge, where the air hangs heavy with the scent of charcoal and the searing breath of molten bronze, a master craftsman once labored under the weight of his own ambition. He was a man of great skill, yet his workshop was a theater of chaos. He shouted orders at his apprentices, his voice rasping against the soot-stained walls. He cursed the heat. He demanded speed. He filled every second with the frantic noise of command. And yet, every time the glowing metal was poured into the mold of a great bell, the result was the same. As the bronze cooled, a jagged crack would snake across its surface, a silent scream of failure. The bell was dead before it ever sang. His wealth was evaporating, his reputation crumbling into the ash of his forge. One evening, a wandering monk appeared at the threshold, a shadow amidst the orange glow. He did not offer advice. He did not critique the mixture of the ores. He simply sat. For 3 days, he remained by the furnace, a monument of absolute stillness. He spoke no word. He made no gesture. He simply existed in a state of fertile silence. By the 4th day, a strange osmosis occurred. The apprentices, no longer whipped by the master's tongue, began to move with the grace of water. They anticipated the flow of the metal. They sensed the cooling of the earth. Without a single spoken instruction, they worked in a perfect, wordless harmony. When the mold was finally broken, the bell emerged whole, shimmering like a fallen star. When struck, its resonance was so deep, so pure, that it was said to heal the hearts of those who heard it 3 villages away. The master realized then that his noise had been the crack in the bell. His silence was the wealth he had been seeking all along. We are that craftsman. We live in a world that has forgotten how to cast the bell of a meaningful life because we are too busy shouting at the forge. We have entered a season of frenetic exhaustion, where the blue light of our screens follows us into the sanctuary of our bedrooms at 2 in the morning. We are told that to exist is to be heard. To be successful is to be seen. We are pressured to build personal brands, to post our every thought, to network until our souls feel like thin, frayed wires. But notice the toll this takes on our inner landscape. We talk, we explain, we defend our choices to strangers and friends alike. Yet we feel poorer with every word. We feel emptier, more ignored, more fragile. This is the modern poverty of noise. We are leaking our vital energy into a void that never gives back. We have become experts at the shout, but we have lost the resonance. We are running a race where the finish line is a mirage, and the more we speak, the more we lose the very influence we crave. If you find a moment of peace in these words, perhaps you might join our circle by subscribing and leaving a mark of your presence with a like. It helps this quiet voice reach those still lost in the storm. And tell me, in just a few words, what is the one sound in nature that makes your soul feel most at home? Consider for a moment the very nature of a vessel. We look at a ceramic bowl and we admire the glaze, the strength of the fired clay, the intricate patterns etched into its rim. But the Master Lao Tzu reminds us of a truth so simple, it often slips through our fingers like sand. It is the emptiness inside the bowl that makes it useful. Without that void, the bowl is just a solid block of earth, unable to hold a single drop of water, unable to nourish a hungry child. Our lives have become solid blocks of clay. We have filled every corner of our schedules, every gap in our conversations, and every silence in our minds with the clutter of doing. We have forgotten that the utility of our existence lies in our being, in the empty space where the Tao can breathe. When we enter a room today, we feel a frantic need to fill the air. We fear the abyss of a quiet moment in a meeting or a dinner date. We think that if we aren't talking, we are losing. But look closer at the physics of influence. In any negotiation, in any high-stakes exchange of human will, the one who speaks least is the one who controls the space. Silence is not an absence. It is a container. When you refuse to fill the void, you invite the other person to reveal themselves. You create a mirror in which their insecurities, their hidden motives, and their truths are forced to reflect. By holding your peace, you anchor the room. You become the vessel that holds the volatile energy of others, allowing it to settle until the water is clear. We often think of silence as a passive state, a form of waiting. But in the eyes of the wise, it is a form of deep maturation. Think of the way a forest grows. There is no announcement when a giant oak reaches for the sky. It does so in a silence that spans centuries. The gold of intuition, those flashes of genius that solve our most complex problems, cannot land in a mind that is constantly vibrating with the noise of its own opinions. We must cultivate a fertile silence, a state where we are empty enough to be filled by the resonance of the universe. When your boss is demanding answers, or your partner is venting their frustrations, try being the vessel. Do not react with the jagged bronze of your ego. Stay empty. Listen not just to the words, but to the silence beneath the words. You will find that in that space, the solution presents itself without effort. You gain wealth, not just in information, but in the dignity of a spirit that cannot be easily moved. This brings us to the subtle art of Wu Wei, or effortless action, as it applies to the way we speak. There is a story told by the sage Zhuangzi about a butcher named Ding, who had used the same knife for 19 years without ever needing to sharpen it. When asked his secret, he didn't talk about the quality of the steel. He spoke of his ability to see the secret spaces between the joints. He didn't hack at the bone. He allowed his blade to glide through the gaps where there was no resistance. Most of us, in our daily lives, are hacking at the bone. We use our words like blunt instruments, trying to force our will upon the world, trying to win every argument, trying to convince everyone of our value. Every time we over-explain ourselves, we are suffering from a leak of qi, our vital life force. Have you ever noticed how diminished you feel after a long, heated argument where you finally won? You have the last word, but your chest feels tight, your hands are shaking, and your mind is a whirlpool of resentment. You have won the battle, but you have depleted your treasury. This is the opposite of Wu Wei. To speak with unforced influence is to understand that the most powerful word is often the one left unspoken. In our modern relationships, we are constantly triggered to respond. A notification pings, a comment stings, a family member touches a nerve, and we feel a veracity to hit back with a wall of text or a sharp retort. But the silent authority knows that true power is the ability to remain unruffled. When you do not respond to an insult, the insult remains with the sender. It has no place to land. You preserve your jade, that internal preciousness that defines your worth. By choosing your words like rare jewels, you change their value. A person who speaks constantly is like a fountain that never stops. Eventually, people stop hearing the water. But a person who speaks rarely is like a bell that rings once in the deep forest. Everyone stops to listen to where the sound came from. Wealth, in the Taoist sense, is the accumulation of this internal resonance. It is the ability to navigate the complexities of a career or a family without dulling your spirit against the bones of conflict. When you stop trying to manage everyone's perception of you through speech, you suddenly find you have an immense surplus of energy. You are no longer exhausted by the need to be right. You are no longer a slave to the noise of the ego. You become like the butcher Ding's knife, navigating the world with a sharp, quiet grace, finding the spaces where life flows easily, and building a life of abundance simply by knowing when to let the silence do the work. This is how we gain more, by talking less. We stop spending our soul on things that do not matter, so we can invest it in the stillness that does. As we navigate the currents of this frantic age, we must recognize a hidden law of intellectual accumulation. Every time we open our mouths to speak, we are merely rehearsing what we already know. We are spending our existing currency. But every time we choose the path of the listener, we are earning. We are expanding our treasury. There is a specific kind of intellectual wealth that belongs only to those who can endure the silence of others without feeling the need to interrupt. Think of the modern social gathering or the digital town squares of our era. They are a voragem, a swirling whirlpool of egos, each person desperate to be the source of the next great insight, the next viral thought, the next clever retort. In this rush to be heard, they become deaf to the very opportunities that are floating right in front of them. As the venerable teacher Confucius once observed, silence is a true friend who never betrays. In the noise of our daily lives, we often betray ourselves by speaking too soon. We give away our best ideas before they are fully formed, or we reveal our ignorance because we are afraid of being seen as empty. But true wisdom understands the power of the listener's advantage. Imagine a high-stakes meeting in a glass-walled office. The air is thick with the ruido of competing agendas. Most people are leaning forward, their minds already crafting their next sentence, while their colleagues are still speaking. They aren't listening. They are just waiting for their turn to make noise. But the person who sits back, who truly listens with their whole body, is performing a kind of strategic osmosis. They are gathering the pieces of the puzzle that everyone else is throwing away. They see the contradictions, they feel the hesitation in a competitor's voice, and they notice the signal amidst the deafening noise. This intellectual wealth is not just about gathering facts, it is about the maturation of perspective. When we remain quiet, we allow the world to reveal its impermanence and its patterns to us. We begin to see the fecundo nature of reality, how one idea connects to another when the ego isn't there to block the view. In our professional lives, this is our market intelligence. By staying quiet in social settings, we become the most informed person in the room. We learn the true desires of our clients, the hidden fears of our rivals, and the unspoken needs of our families. We are no longer just processing data. We are cultivating a garden of insight. This silence acts as a filter, a subtle screen that lets the gold of truth fall into our laps, while the dross of gossip and vanity is blown away by the wind. It is an act of deep hospitality to the truth, and the world always rewards those who give the truth a quiet place to land. If you are finding a sense of clarity in this stillness, I invite you to subscribe and join our journey back to the source. A simple like helps these words reach others who are drowning in the noise. Before we move on, I have a small question for you. If your inner peace had a color, what would it be? Share it with us in the comments below. This leads us to the fourth pillar of our sanctuary, the shield of discretion. There is a biological necessity for darkness and silence when a new life is being formed. A seed does not sprout on the surface of the soil, exposed to the scorching sun and the eyes of every passing bird. It seeks the abysmo of the earth. It requires the cold, damp, and absolute silence of the dark to crack open its shell and send its first fragile roots downward. Only once the roots are anchored can the stem dare to reach for the light. Our dreams, our projects, and our deepest transformations follow this same law of nature. Yet, in our modern world, we are encouraged to do the opposite. We have been conditioned to announce our goals before we have even begun them. We post pictures of our gym shoes before we have run a single mile. We talk about the book we are going to write at every dinner party. We share the blueprints of our business before the foundation is even poured. The strategist of the old wars, Sun Tzu, knew that the greatest power resides in the impenetrable. He taught that our plans should be as dark and mysterious as the night, so that when we finally move, we fall like a thunderbolt. This is not about being deceptive. It is about protecting the energy of the sprout. When you tell the world about your big plans, your brain receives a fecundo hit of dopamine, a reward it hasn't actually earned. This is the dopamine trap. The praise you receive for your intention makes your mind believe the work is already done, and the vital tension required to actually manifest that dream begins to dissipate. You are leaking the steam that should be driving the engine. You are digging up your seeds every morning to show people how much they've grown, and in doing so, you are killing them. There is a profound privacy wealth in keeping your mouth shut about your progress. By maintaining a shield of discretion, you create a pressure cooker for your ambition. The energy that would have been spent talking is instead forced into the work itself. This creates what we might call mystery equity. People are naturally drawn to the subtle power of a person who is clearly evolving, but doesn't feel the need to broadcast the process. It creates a natural charisma, a resonance of strength that doesn't need to beg for attention. Think of your most sacred goals as a fire in a winter cabin. If you keep the door open to show everyone the flames, the heat escapes and the room grows cold. Keep the door shut. Let the heat build. Let the transformation happen in the fertile silence of your own discipline. When you finally emerge, you won't need to tell people you've changed. The transfiguration will be visible in the way you carry yourself, in the clarity of your eyes, and in the wealth of your results. True power doesn't need a megaphone. It is felt in the gravity of one's presence. As we delve deeper into the forest of our own existence, we encounter a truth that is often obscured by the fog of our daily struggles. True wealth is not merely the accumulation of gold, but the cultivation of what we might call the capital of calm. Our emotions are like the surface of a great mountain lake. When the winds of the world blow, when a colleague speaks a sharp word, when we are overlooked for a promotion, or when the digital voragem of social media pulls us into a whirlpool of comparison, the surface of our lake becomes fractured and wild. In this state of agitation, the water is muddy. We cannot see the depths of our own nature, nor can we see the world as it truly is. We see only a distorted, frenetical reflection of our own fears. We react, we lash out, we spend our emotional currency on battles that do not matter, and by the end of the day, we find our inner treasury is bankrupt. The old Master Liezi once whispered of the power found in hidden virtue. He spoke of the wisdom of doing what is right and staying centered without the need for the world to applaud or even notice. This is the art of the quiet lake. In our modern reality, we are constantly baited into emotional expenditure. We see a comment online that triggers our anger, or we hear a piece of office gossip that tempts us to join the noise. We feel an almost physical urge to defend our territory, to prove our worth, to have the last word. But consider the transfiguration that happens when we choose the non-response. When we remain still like the deep water, the energy of the troll or the gossip has nowhere to anchor. It passes over us like a breeze over stone. By refusing to react, we are not being weak. We are being extraordinarily wealthy. We are keeping our emotional jade, that internal preciousness of the spirit, intact. This stillness is the secret to longevity, a way to dissipate the storms before they can age our hearts. Stress is essentially the noise of the soul, a friction that wears down the gears of our biological clock. When we cultivate this fertile silence, we are literally preserving our life force. Imagine the next time you feel that rising tide of irritation, perhaps in a gridlocked traffic jam or during a tense family dinner. Instead of adding your voice to the cacophony, imagine you are the deep, cool center of that lake. Let the noise stay on the surface. You will find that by not spending your peace, you become the most powerful person in the room. You become the anchor for everyone else. This is the ultimate regulation, to be the eye of the storm, the one place where the wind cannot reach. If this journey into the quiet is healing a part of you today, I invite you to join our circle by subscribing and giving this video a like. Your support is the subtle wind that helps this message travel. And tell me, in the middle of a stressful day, what is the one anchor word you say to yourself to return to your center? This brings us, finally, back to the source, to the intersection of silence and our material world. We must learn the art of financial silence. In our current epoch, we are told that wealth must be loud. We are conditioned to believe that if we have achieved something, we must display it. If we have bought something, we must show it. Consumerism is, at its heart, a form of loudness, a way of shouting, "I am here, I am valuable, I am enough," through the things we possess. But the Taoist wisdom of Zhuo Wang, or sitting and forgetting, teaches us a more profound way to live. It is the practice of dissolving the ego's need for external validation until all that remains is the clear, unadorned truth of our existence. True wealth is quiet money. It is the kind of abundance that doesn't need to prove itself with the noise of status symbols or the frenetical pursuit of more. When we disconnect our worth from the noise of what we own, we find a freedom that no bank account can offer. Think of the modern trap. We work jobs we do not love to buy things we do not need to impress people we do not like. This is a life of extreme noise and spiritual poverty. By choosing a simpler, more silent path, we begin to accumulate actual freedom. We buy back our time, the most precious currency of all. We realize that a quiet morning with a cup of tea and a clear mind is worth more than a luxury car that demands we spend another decade in the viragum of a high-stress career. This is the ultimate return to the source. The ultimate test of a human being's wealth is their ability to sit in a room alone, in total silence, and be perfectly content. If you can do this, the world has no power over you. You cannot be sold a version of happiness that you already possess within. You become impenetrable. Your wealth is no longer subject to the impermanence of markets or the whims of public opinion. You have found the jade within. As we look at the path ahead, let us remember that the most successful life is not the one that makes the most noise, but the one that rings with the deepest resonance. Like the great bell of the old master, our value is found in our stillness, in our ability to hold the space, and in the pure, wordless tone of a soul that has finally come home to itself. We return once more to that mountain temple, where the great bell now hangs in the cool shadows of the eaves. It is no longer a symbol of a master's struggle or an apprentice's fear. It has undergone a transfiguration. The bell does not ring incessantly to prove its existence. It does not compete with the wind or the mountain birds. It hangs in a state of silencio fertile, gathering the resonance of the valley, waiting for that one subtle moment when its voice is truly needed. And when it finally speaks, the sound is not a rupture, but a completion of the silence itself. We often fear that if we stop making noise, the world will forget us. We fear the impermanencia of our influence, believing that we must constantly shout to keep our place in the virajam of modern life. But look to the great teachers who never spoke a word. The sun is silent, yet its light is the source of all life. The earth is silent, yet it has the strength to anchorar the tallest mountains and the deepest oceans. They do not seek to be seen, yet they are the very foundation of everything we know. Do not be afraid that the world will pass you by if you choose to step back from the ruido. True wealth is not found in the echo of your own name, but in the depth of your own being. When you stop talking, you stop leaking your spirit into the abysmo of the trivial. You begin a process of maturação that makes your presence heavy with meaning. You become like that bell, a source of peace for everyone who enters your orbit. You realize that you don't need to gain the world, because you have finally gained yourself. The frenetico search for more begins to dissipar, leaving behind a clarity that is more precious than any hoard of gold. You are no longer a victim of the world's noise. You are the architect of your own stillness. Tonight, I ask you for a small sacrifice, a simple ritual to return to your source. Before you sleep, find a dark room. Leave your phone in another place. Do not speak to anyone. Do not plan for tomorrow. Just sit for 10 minutes and listen to the silence. Feel it against your skin like cool water. Notice how the frantic pulses of the day begin to slow down through a quiet osmosis with the stillness. When you return to the world of words, I want you to come back here and tell me, not what you thought about, but what you felt in that moment when the noise finally stopped. The path of the Tao is not a journey to a distant place, but a return to the home you never truly left. May your silence be your greatest wealth, and may your resonance be felt long after your words have faded. Go now and be still.